Security camera footage shared by a neighbor shows a man who authorities say was identified as On pulling a minivan into the garage. The van is later seen speeding out of the neighborhood. Those probable cause documents allege On attacked his wife.
If you're new to my channel, thank you for watching. Take a few seconds to like and subscribe. Leave a comment and I will try my best to answer all of your questions. Ring the bell for notifications when I post new videos. Good people, I'll tell you what it is, and that's what's happening. If you have a story you'd like to share, please leave that information in the comment section. This story comes out of Washington, the Evergreen State. Shout out to the good people of Washington. Please feel free to leave a comment below. Young Sook is a 42-year-old woman that lives in the town of Lacey in the state of Washington. Like many women and many couples, she was going through a divorce. She thought that it was a peaceful divorce because her and her husband, soon to be ex, were cordial enough to where he can come by the house once a week and do laundry. She had no idea that, according to the police, her soon-to-be ex-husband had plans for her. On October 16th at around 1 p.m., the Lacey, Washington suburbs 911 center received a call. When the call came in, the operator could not communicate with the person who had made the call, but the operator could hear what sounded like a person who was gagged. Clearly, something was in this person's mouth preventing them from talking. In the background noise, you could hear banging and rattling and all types of noises that alarmed the operator that something was wrong. After a short time, the call went dead. The operator thought quickly and dispatched a patrol car to that address. Via satellite, they were able to track down the source of the call. When they arrived, they found a home that was empty. No one was there. But police noticed that there was disarray everywhere, and they knew something had happened inside of that home. While assessing the area and the scene, two children arrived moments later, a 20-year-old and an 11-year-old. They told police that their mother lived at that location and that their parents were going through a divorce. That alarmed police immediately, and they started talking to the neighbors. One of the neighbors had captured on a home surveillance video what allegedly appeared to be the estranged husband of Miss I. On the video, it showed some odd behavior. It showed him pulling into the garage, looking around, acting suspicious, and neighbors said they also saw him moving objects around. Well, police took this information and they put out an APB and an alert with the vehicle description, the description of the husband, because they needed to question the estranged husband to find out if he knew anything about what had occurred at this home. The APB that was put out to the public named Shy K. Young I, 53 years old, a male, 5'8", 180 pounds, as a suspect. They gave a vehicle description, the license plate number, and they gave a description of Miss I, and they were asking the public for help. And they named it as a kidnapping. Not a possible, it said kidnapping. It says, please call 911 if you see Miss I or her husband, estranged husband. This is put out by the Lacey Police Department. The wife was forced from her home today in a violation of a protection order. So she also had a protection order, which is strange because she allowed him to come there and do laundry. So maybe she had come to some type of understanding with him and she didn't want to be bitter. And that's what happens in a lot of cases. We don't want to be bitter. We try to be, understanding and mutual with one another because they still had an 11-year-old child that they had to raise together. Although in separate homes, they still had to co-parent. At 12:51 a.m. on October 17th, Miss Young showed up at an unknown person's house in the town of Lacey. It had been about 20 or 30 minutes, and she said that she had been walking through the woods. She came upon a stranger's house, and she frantically begged for help. When the police arrived, Miss Young wrapped her arms around the police and would not let go. She was hysterical, frantic, and constantly telling the police over and over again, "My husband tried to kill me. My husband tried to kill me." When the police got her back to the police station and they calmed her down and they treated her for her injuries, they realized that she was covered in soot and mud. She began to unravel the events that had taken place that started at 1 p.m. earlier that day. Young began to give her statement to the police, and what she was about to say was unbelievable. She stated that her husband had shown up to her home earlier that day, and he was angry at her because she was going after his pension during the divorce. He was an Army veteran, and he felt like she was going to take most of his pension in a settlement, and he was mad. So when they got into an altercation, he duct taped her hands and her wrists together. He threw her into a car. He took her to the woods. She was knocked unconscious, and he buried her alive. Miraculously, she was able to dig herself out when she came to. She walked about 20 minutes, maybe 30, until she came upon the first house that she saw, and that's when she asked the people for help. He was picked up later that evening by the police. Young stated to the police that during the attack, she was home and he had duct taped her mouth and her wrists and her ankles, but she was able to get to her Apple Watch and dial 911. When her husband returned, he found out she had made a call to the police because he can hear the dispatcher talking through the watch. He became even more angry then, dragging her down the stairs, forcing her into the car. And when he got her to the wooded area, he dug a hole and he stabbed her multiple times with a sharp object in her breast. Young told police that during a horrific burial, her husband had continued to throw dirt on her face, and she had to wiggle to try and keep the dirt off of her face so she can breathe. She told police that she probably had been in that hole for several hours, and it was dark when she finally was able to get out. She said her husband had threatened to kill her, but she never thought that he would act upon it. So she didn't take him serious. And that's why she allowed him to come over and see the kids and do laundry on a weekly basis. He told his estranged wife he would rather see her dead than to give her some of his retirement money. During the court hearings, after Mr. An was captured, his attorney told the judge that his client probably suffered from some type of service-related mental health condition because he was a military veteran. Miss An, who had a court advocate, read a letter to the judge that she had written, asking the judge to please not let this man out of jail. She stated that she feared for her life, and the judge had no problem adhering to her wishes because of the extenuating circumstances that happened. Young's husband is now facing charges of first degree attempted murder, first degree kidnapping, and first degree assault. Young's husband is being held with no bond. He cannot get bond to get out of jail, rightfully so. This was a horrific event that took place, and this lady is so lucky to have survived that. Domestic violence is real, and I apologize for any mispronunciation of the names of any parties involved. It wasn't deliberate. I have no issues against anyone, no matter race, color, or creed. I'm just not good at pronouncing names that I'm not familiar with, so I do apologize about that if I mispronounced any other names. But people, you have to be careful out there. Watch what you're doing. Watch who you're dating. When people show you signs of domestic battery, believe that that's who they are. Don't give them do-overs and don't say, oh, they had a bad day. Don't make excuses for them because that's really who that person is. Hey, good people. Be aware. Be safe. God bless.
Ellen's hotline also reminds us it takes on average 7 times to leave unhealthy or abusive relationships, which is why it is so important to remember that you are not alone.
So if you or someone you know is in a dangerous or unhealthy situation, help is out there. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, available 24/7.